All right, welcome back. Continuing on with our ecology unit. We only have 2 chapters left for the rest of the school year. Chapter 5, titled Populations, and then Chapter 6 is going to look at habitats, niches, and competition a little bit. But this is all about populations, and so I'm going to break up section 5.1 into 2 parts. We're going to look at how populations grow, and then the rest of the lessons will just be one lecture each, limits to growth, and then talking about how human population has grown recently and our predictions for the future on that. So today's learning objectives, how do ecologists study populations? What are some factors that affect population growth? And then the second part of this lecture, we'll talk about exponential growth versus logistic growth. So when we talk about populations, there's a few ways we can describe it. And the first one is its geographic range, the places where a population lives. So, just figuring out where a population is, what's the area that it's at, So if you take a look at this picture down here of Australia, looking at kangaroos, we can kind of see that kangaroos tend to be more concentrated in this region versus in these blue outer regions, okay? And part of that is there's a huge desert here. Another way you can describe population is through its growth rate. Some populations can have a positive growth rate where it increases, and some populations experience a negative growth rate where it decreases. So that's pretty self-explanatory. So a question for you, which parking lot has a higher density of cars? A 40-car parking lot with 40 cars parked in it, or a 100-car lot with 40 cars parked? And you should be saying, well, Mrs. Erickson, this parking lot over here has a higher density of cars versus this one. So another way to describe population is its density, the number of individuals that can be found per unit area. So here, this is hypothetical. Looks like we're looking at people in 2 different clubs, Club 1 versus Club 2, where we have the same area, okay, which is 1 unit. So this box represents 1 unit, and then you count up the individuals in that area, and then do some math, and you can say 10 people per 1 unit. Where over here you have 20 people per unit. If we were in session, we would have gone out to Wildlife Acres with hula hoops and thrown hula hoops randomly throughout the area and recorded certain individuals to figure out their population density. So there's actually a little bit more math to it, but we're just going to skip over that part. Okay, another way you can describe populations or examine populations is through its distribution. How are these individuals spaced in their range? And so we've actually classified 3 types of distribution: random, uniform, and clumped. So random means there's no rhyme or reason, they're just scattered throughout. Great example, dandelions in a field of grass, okay? It's just random distribution. There's wherever their seeds landed, that's where they germinated. Uniform occurs when individuals compete for resources. So you can see these penguins over here, they are spaced randomly to help, share resources. I mean, they're competing for resources like space and food, and they realize that if they space themselves out, they can be a little bit more efficient and optimize that area. So a lot of times you see uniform distribution with birds. The third one is clumped, okay? Herds, like large mammals, but there might be an advantage of being clumped or herded together, and it helps against predation. Okay. All right, another facet, if you will, to studying populations is its age structure. How many males, how many females? So this is an age structure diagram where on the left-hand side we have males and the right-hand side is females. And then they look at maturity. So a lot of times the base is like youngins, pre-productive, and then this is those that have reached maturity where they can reproduce, and then post-reproductive would be like elderly if you're just talking about humans. So if we take a look at some real examples here where they have it broken down by an age bracket, and we have population A versus population B, you can see that population A is growing rapidly because we have a lot of young children here. And as you go up, there are less older people. Whereas with B, you can say that this population growth is a little stagnant, okay? We have some kids, but not a great amount of kids, where over here we had 8 and over here it was 4. And then we have a whole bunch of middle-aged individuals, okay? Maybe they have decided that they don't want kids or are done reproducing. So these can tell the story about a population. And later on in this chapter, it's either this chapter or the next chapter, we'll take a look at countries. Maybe it's the last section, actually, of this chapter. We'll take a look at different countries and their age structure and kind of tell the story of what's going on in their country. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is population growth, I think. Oh, you know what? I'm going to stop right here. So tomorrow I'm going to continue on. Nope, I'm going to talk about this slide. Why not? Okay, so population growth is affected by 4 things: birth rate, death rate, immigration, and emigration. So birth rate and immigration increase population because you have more individuals, or these individuals move into that area, so it increases your population for that species or city, whatever you're looking at. Death rate and immigration decrease your population growth because, you know, if you're dead, you can't reproduce, right? And then you lose population that way. And then immigration, people leave the area. So a lot of times they kind of generate the discussion of Wheaton and how Wheaton actually had a lot more people. I mean, we had like 7 different gas stations. You know, Wheaton was a booming town. And now we don't see that anymore. Our elderly pretty much outnumber everybody. We've kind of become a retirement community. And so our birth rate is lower. Our death rate, I don't know. Could you say it's higher? I don't know. We have a lot of people that leave the area. I know you guys are probably thinking, yeah, as soon as I graduate, I'm not coming back here. And so that kind of hurts us a little bit, but again, it's like, well, what can we offer you as a community that doesn't really have that much, right? So, yeah, but we do have people that do move into the area, you know, maybe because of a job. Like, for example, my husband and I, you know, I got a job here, so I moved here. My husband, who was in Fargo and then in the cities, decided to come back and, you know, just change of pace, and then all of a sudden, you know, he really didn't have any intention of staying, but then because he met me, now we're both kind of established in this area. So, but anyways, so yes, so population increases when new individuals are born, or if they arrive from somewhere else, but your population can decrease if they move away through immigration, or if they die, hence the upside down floating fish. That's very nice. Okay, so tomorrow I'm going to talk about the 2 types of growth and then tell a little story about the caribou on St. Matthew Island. It's actually kind of a cool but sad and depressing story. So I'll end it right here.